Good afternoon. Once again, it's Friday, 5:30 p.m., and of course, I am your host, U.S. Representative Danny Davis, for this portion of the most interactive television show in town, and that's Hotline 21. I always look forward on a Friday when I can be here so that I can come and report to you, my constituents, and others, and let you know kind of what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's happening, and get your input. And of course, you know that this is interactive, so anytime you get ready to call, you can just call in and join in the conversation. But I am so excited today because I have a special guest. And so before we get into talking about Washington, D.C., I want to talk about Chicago, Illinois. Some of you remember that about a month ago, we had an event called the State of the African American Male, where we talked about the plight of African American men and boys in Chicago. But we also mentioned the fact that we stand on the shoulders of those who've gone on before us. And I had at that meeting, of course, the gentleman here isn't as old as the one who was there, Tim Black, if some of you may remember. We gave Tim an award, and we had another award for an outstanding member of our community. His name is Howard Medley. Those of us who knew and know him, we often called him Commissioner Medley because he was a commissioner of the Chicago Transit Authority. And of course, many of us feel that had Harold Washington not passed away when he did, that Commissioner Medley would have been chairman of the Chicago Transit Authority. He is a long-time businessman. Medley's Moving and Storage Company. He is a long-time political and community activist. And in the minds of many of us, he is a hero. So I wanted to present to him this Outstanding Leadership Award presented to Commissioner Howard Medley for outstanding leadership in the development of black men. Commissioner Medley, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And we are so delighted that you're here. Would you, for our audience, a lot of times we don't know as much about people as we should. Could you tell our audience how you emerged as an outstanding businessman in Chicago and how you got engaged in civic and community activities?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I was working at the post office, and
You?
yep,
You
14
worked at the
years.
post
Yeah.
office?
When I came back from, I was World War II,
Yeah.
Purple Heart veteran. Anyway, when I came back from the service, I went to the post office and went to work. I stayed there 14 years,
All right.
but my parents, I lost my parents early, at an early age, at the age of 3, rather, and I stayed with my grandfather. And my grandfather used to tell me that you can do anything you want to do, if you want to do it bad enough. And the first thing he told me is, I never forget, I was about 6 years old. A man came to the house one day, a little raggedy truck. And my grandfather said, "What can I do for you?" And I like to tell this to young people. Wherever I go, I like to tell this to them. And the man said something. Grandfather said, "Get away from here. Ever come back here again, I'm going to call the law. Don't you ever come back here again." I said, Grandpa, he made you mad, didn't he? He said, yeah, I said, I ain't said that guy. I said, he got some what you call hot tires. He stole them tires. And they gonna catch him. He said, when they catch him, he can come tell me, he gonna tell them where he sold them at, and they're gonna get me for stealing hot property. He said, they all gonna catch him. He said, you see, every time I look up, the white people was the boss down there. He said, when you see two white people come, he said, Lord, I wonder did they catch that man yet. He said, I'd be in the house, and wind blowing the house crack. I wonder did they catch that man yet. Driving down the street, and somebody look at the tires. I wonder did they catch the guy. He said, you can't live that kind of life. Somebody come to my door, I said, what can I do for you? And he meant that. He said, because I don't believe in getting involved with that. He said, that you can't live, you want to be able to live a good life when you get into bed, phone or whatnot. You don't have to worry because you know you haven't committed any kind of crime, he said. You know, that has really stuck with me. I mean, that has. And Reverend Coleman used to ask me to go to church and talk to the young people, Sheriff Elrod. And I have been a lot of places and talked to young people how important it is to not to get involved with illegal activity. But when you do, how can you rest? Pull up, every time you look around, you're shaking because you don't know if they go caught you or not. And I never forget, I arrived at the post office and I drove what's called a hot truck, mail truck, and the whole Reds. And a fellow had the line before me undoubtedly did something because the fellows were going to carry me so much money to drop some weeds off. And I told him, no, he kept, and I was poor. I mean, I was poor. I had a little bitty check coming from the post from my service connected. And man, if I didn't get that check, I had to walk to I was poor. I paid for the bottom of my shoes. But I could not do it because it stuck with me that I wanted to be like my grandfather. I did not want to get involved with illegal activity, and I didn't. So that's how my slice. So I wasn't done, so I've saved the money. Well, let me tell you how I saved the money first. I was working 8 hours at the post office. Well, I got a job at R.R. Donnelly's working the evening. Mm-hmm. R.R. Donnelly's wanted me to work Thursday and Friday over 8 hours. Well, I had to get back to my little civil service job, so I couldn't stay there. Well, those days you just fired. That's all nothing you do. Get out of here. So I didn't want to lose my job at Donnelly's, didn't want to lose it there. So everybody liked to be off on weekends. So I volunteered every weekend to be off so I could be off Thursday. I worked Thursday and Friday so I could be off Saturday and Sunday. So they worked 12, 14 hours. They had to run me out of there because I didn't have to go back to the post office. See? So, I didn't touch I was making $4,500 a year. I never forget it. And I didn't touch the check. I put them in the bank. And next year I put it in the bank, got a nickel raise that year because a 5-cent raise. 2 years' time I had $9,000. I put it down on my first little 3-flat. Well, you couldn't live in the basement. I couldn't rent the basement, but you could live in the basement. So I lived in the basement, rented the other flats out. And I did that for about 3 years. And I had a 9-flat. I bought a 9-flat. And anyway, that's where I got started. At 19 tenants, which little car entertainment I had, I enjoyed it. Because all the tenants had better little cars than me. And I was done like my grandfather told me to do. He told me you can be anything you want to do. And people belittle me and make fun of me and my sister and brother because I had dyslexia and I didn't read well. And they laughed. John Strozier was one of the people I went to school with. And they laughed at me and said I was dumb. Well, Grandpa said, you're not dumb. He said, I don't know what it is. He said, but you're not dumb. So I was going to show him I wasn't dumb. So my grandfather said I was, so if he said I wasn't, I believe anything he said. So I kept working. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I didn't have no clothes. I wore the same suits because they gave you clothes at the post office, uniforms.
Yeah.
And the only way I could buy some clothes is borrow my pay. I was not going to borrow that postal check. I would not. So I had the same color clothes everywhere, them little race-looking clothes. So I dyed 2 suits so I could not look like I was in uniform every time I went someplace. And I got a room in the back of, I was on King Drive, 53rd and King Drive. I was in the back of that room back there. And because they made me, I couldn't live in the basement, see. So then I found out that I couldn't rent it, but I could live down there. So I went back and they let me, because they had a problem with it, they made me move out of the basement. So I talked to a guy and a friend of mine. He told me how I could live, don't let nobody, don't rent it. But I was the owner. I could live there.
You could live.
So I went back to my basement. But when I was there, my ring was 5 rings. In the back, I had one room, and I had the postal clothes. I didn't have nothing else. But I feel so good because I was putting that money in the bank all the time. See? But anyway, I just wanted to tell you how I got started. So, and I kept working. So the neighborhood people stopped asking me to make little contributions. By the way, I had this truck. So I bought the first little truck to do a little piddling around one building to another one to find my janitor. I'm my own janitor. Yeah. So he and I then did little jobs. I put a sign, a postal card from 63rd to 31st, from Cottage to State. Medley's basement and attic cleaning. So people, boy, they was calling me all day. I was really doing good. I was making so much money. People started asking me to do bigger jobs. Well, I couldn't get much on that little truck, so it'd take me 3 trips to move a 3-room apartment. So the ICC asked me, what you out here, boy? So they told me I needed a permit, so I got my permit, and that's where I got started.
That was, people. You know, I worked at the post office also. Dr. Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Worked at the post office. Matter of fact,
he went to school with us.
Well, I met him working at the post office. Right. He was a supervisor. And I worked at the post office full-time and part-time because after I started teaching, I still worked at the post office.
John Schroeder was there too. All of us, we posted.
So the post office was really kind of a jumping off place.
Start. It was.
Yeah, I mean, at one time I had 3 jobs. I was working at the post office part-time. I was teaching school, and I was working at Sears Roebuck whenever holidays, that kind of thing, came along. And so I guess the point is that you see a person today, but you got to realize where the person may have started, and that life ain't been no crystal state.
You got to resist temptation of spinning and trying to be like the Joneses. See?
Yeah.
That's what my grandfather used to tell me all the time. So I wanted, and my sister started making fun of me too at school. See, they all came at school. I couldn't read. I was dumb. So I had to, and my grandfather kept telling me I wasn't. I had to prove to everybody then. You know, I had 3 more jobs. I cleaned out a barbecue stand for a man on 47th and Ingleside. I mopped the floor at 12 o'clock at night for the chocolate food company up here. All these things I did, and I was not going to bother that postal paycheck.
You know, this is so precious, and I really wish we were talking to a group of
kids.
8th and 9th graders who could understand that it's not always a matter of where you start.
Right.
It's a matter of where you go.
Right.
And where you end.
Right.
It is, for example, how did you get into the political
that was
business
the next thing.
With Harold?
That was the next thing. See, people in the neighborhood started, my moving business was going good now. Isabel Joseph Johnson put me
Oh,
on there.
yeah,
And the Medley
Isabel
Movers.
Joseph
And I had
Johnson.
them little toys, Medley Movers and storage, because ICC man called me out there. And I got a permit. And then, man, people started loading because I put she had on television, Medley's moving in storage. Boy, I was moving a while, man. I mean, in public aid, a lady I moved over to see her was a caseworker. And she liked my work, and she said, will you move my clients for me? I said, yeah. And she said, you're not going to stand them up? I said, no. Well, the movers had a thing about when they got a cash job, they stand the public aid people up.
Yeah.
Well, you had to wait 60 or 90 days to get your checks if you got them at all. So I had those tenants now. I had the tenants down there. Altogether, I had 19 tenants. The worst little car being the tenant I had, and I enjoyed it. So I really did. I enjoyed it. But the moving business is going good now because the public aid people are giving me all of the stations, all west side and everything, because the fellas didn't want to wait on their money. Well, I had these tenants, and I was doing pretty good. I never forget in 1967, I had a check, came $5,000 came that day when all this bad snow in 67.
Yeah.
I never forget the mailman found a way to get to my place, and with a $5,000 worth of check. I was getting checks every day. I really was. I mean, I was making so much money on this. It didn't look like it was true. But
We got
was
some
making,
callers trying to get in. Let me let them in so they can
Okay.
ask you a question.
Okay.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing, Connie Davis?
I am fine, James. How are you?
Okay, now I was going to ask your guest about what do you think about Donald Trump and this war on Halloween when they attacked. And then he said he was going to send. I was going to ask your guest. He said he was going to send all the police to that country, and the police they gonna wipe the police out, Connie. I mean, I was going to ask your guest, what do you think about Donald Trump starting another war?
All right. Let's see if he can answer. He says, what do you think about Donald Trump, and is he maybe going to start another war?
I
Trying
don't
to
know. I
start?
tell you one thing, as I said, now this you might not like. He won, so now I think we ought to rest and let's see what he's going to do. He's there. And from everybody, Congressman, everybody else, he got there fair. And the both votes was counted. So I do want to see, I've been Democrat all my life. I do want to see what he's going to do now. I don't want to bother him and say the reason he did. I don't want to give him an excuse to say that he couldn't do it because we wouldn't do this. Or I don't want to bother him. I want to see what he's going to do.
Well, we're going to talk about
Okay.
the tax deal in a little bit. But so you're saying that even though Donald Trump is the president, that he deserves, now I don't want to put words in your mouth,
Yeah.
but you're saying he is the president.
Right. The legal system, it says that he's the president. I didn't say it. The legal system says Congress, everybody say he is the president. So the system is, I didn't tell you about it, but my business was doing good, and Richard J. Daley called me down, and because the community, everywhere you go, I sponsored every league, the baseball, basketball, tennis, your little league. And all the aldermen, as you know, would call me
Yeah.
to be on the chairman of their committees. Everybody. And if I couldn't make it, they used my name anyway. Medley. So Daley got oath to that, and he come to a place and see me there, the chairman of all these committees. So that's why he called me and asked me to come down. He said I've been good in community and whatnot. It was a political thing. And I was election commissioner. It's because of that, but I don't want to get off the subject. I'm just saying is, I learned, that's why I really learned, being the Chicago election commissioner. I found out when the votes put you there, hey, you're there. And I think I just let him go and I don't give him an excuse, but he couldn't do nothing because wouldn't let him. So I think we should let him. We let him have it, So I think we should do the same thing we did Obama. If he do something, okay. If he don't, at least he can't say we didn't keep it,
But let me ask you this. A lot of people are not voting. I'm saying You know, there was an election for alderman over in the 4th Ward not too long ago.
Right.
And the turnout was 16%.
Right.
I'm saying only 16% of the people who were registered to vote actually voted.
I live in that ward. Well, now they changed me in the 5th Ward, but I've been in the 4th Ward. I've been in the 4th Ward for, oh my gosh, 40-something years.
Oh, okay.
And that was now they just made a little changes in the 5th Ward now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people, what would you say to people who are not voting?
Well, if you don't vote, then you can't complain about nothing. Then if you didn't vote, because at least express your vote and tell everybody else that you're going to vote. At least you have to vote. I can't go along with anybody that don't vote.
Well, you know, there was a study done not long ago, and it suggested that 82% of the African Americans who participated in answering questions and that kind of thing felt that black people were actually going backwards, that rather than going forward,
You're right.
that we were going backwards,
I
and
agree.
people didn't have hope that things were going to be better for them.
A lot of people say one vote don't count. Don't say one vote don't count. I saw some close votes. I never forget when Hispanics, Gutierrez, when they lost by 3 or 4, well, they missed it. And Harold, the Washington, I took them, and they won 3 and 4 votes in a precinct. So don't say one vote. After being in the election convention, I had a lot of experience. Very close votes. People be so close, have runoff and all that. So don't tell me votes won't count. I'm not going, votes count. Vote.
So no matter what the situation, or no matter what goes on,
Go vote. How you going to cry about something you didn't even vote? Just think how many people say that, and ain't nothing going to happen. So, you know, your one vote counts. It's a one vote system, so don't ever say your vote don't count.
we used to have, I remember, let's go to the phone. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here. And congratulations, Congressman Danny Davis, for having this charming young man. I want people to know I just did a documentary for the new 95th Street corridor. I've been out here in this area for over 63 years. This young man, you can go down 95th Street to Forest. Look to your right. That big building there is his warehouse, where he had his warehouse. He's been tremendous. Even when Wilson Frost became the alderman of the 21st Ward, when we left being the 19th Ward, and they brought the 34th Ward from the west side, the great side, and brought it to the south side. So I know that we are blessed, and he's here for a reason. You young people, look at this young man that's sitting next to the congressman and learn a lesson.
Well, I tell you,
Register and vote, and let your conscience be your guide.
Right. Amen.
and you
Really?
you see, you've been around 63 years.
That's right. George Sims was my uncle.
Oh,
yeah.
police commander.
That's right. Over on
Let
the
me
west
tell
side.
you, I used to work with Commander Sims. We had a group called Operation Bootstrap,
That's for real.
and we worked with the gangs, the Vice Lords and the Cobras. George had a saying that we all liked to hear him say it. He would say to the boys, he says, "Now look, I'll do anything in the world I can do for you boys. But if I catch you getting down wrong, nothing will beat you to the police station but the headlights on the car."
That's right.
That was George's motto. And
helped
he
clean
was
up
fair.
Woodlawn. Him and Bryson helped clean up Woodlawn.
Yeah, he was fair.
To God be the glory, and you got a dynamic young man sitting next to you, Congressman. And
All
keep up.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you
very
so
much.
very much. Thank
know,
you indeed.
You know, what she's saying is, that's the reason I get a kick out. I don't know the pay. I ain't looking for no pay. I really enjoy talking to young I used to go to as his election, I used to go to the jails. Elrod asked me to do it. He put me on his staff. And I go there and just talk to young people. You know, I sure say, and I'm just the difference between bragging and some, it's trying to make it a point. I'm making a point. I don't have to brag. But you know, I really I believe I have saved a lot of young people. When I go to these churches, jails and things, Reverend Coleman had me twice a year to come talk to the young people at her church. She said to show you a successful businessman. Well, I want to tell everybody and who I talk to, don't get involved in illegal activity. Period, not comma. That's what. Now, don't say what you can't do. If you just got to, you know, if the word, one of the most strongest words you can use is resist temptation. Tell me who out here wouldn't have got in trouble if they had resisted the temptation. I hate to say it, but young girls, if they resist that temptation, see, men resist temptation, and we'll be a different country, a different city, a different black people, not just black. Resist temptation. I know I've had some temptations, boy, but I resisted them.
Well, you know, there's a song we sing at church says, yield not to temptation.
Right.
For yielding is sin. Each victory will help you, some others to win.
We need to talk to our children more. As young children, we need to talk to them. And then, really, I read their upper room every day, and you know, it knows what I'm going to talk about. Today, it talked about telling, read other people what's going to happen and how God looks out for you and what's happening to you today, how to work with it, and have, you know, a lot of we don't have faith.
Well, now, you know, you've got a lot of attributes, but now I didn't know that you...
I'm Deacon Medley also, okay? I'm Commissioner Medley, but I'm Deacon Medley too. I got another title. I am a deacon, yes. I believe in it, yes. I tell you, I just wish that we could get more persons to talk to the children today and let them know how important it is to have a good reputation. You know, I hate to say this, but you know, our leaders, I don't say white, I'll just say the leaders. I'll say we have people out here want you to so you can not keep you from getting anywhere because you get a strap on you, now you can't, see.
Well, there are a lot of people who have those strikes, and of course that's one reason that we try and spend as much time preventing. You know, I always was taught that an ounce of prevention is worth much more than a pound of cure. So if you can prevent somebody from going astray, or the wrong direction, then you have saved them all of what you got to do to try and recover. Yeah, so if you can do that. And it's not a matter of casting aspersions. It's just simply a matter of trying to live, you know, the best that you can, help people if you can, help individuals, you know, rather than curse in the darkness. I always say it's much better to try and light a candle. Let me just say to our listeners and viewers, you can give us a call now. We are talking with Commissioner Howard Medley, who is one of the elders, I guess I'll say, of our community, but one who has contributed greatly not only to the economic development, but also to the culture. You've hired a lot of people during your lifetime, I would imagine, who've worked for you.
Well, you know, I was a cabinet member on the all five mayors, you know. Richie Daley brought me in. And I really didn't want it, but I told him, I said, you know, I'm a high school dropout. I don't like to say this, but I was. I say, and he told me, I said, I don't have the education. I said, I appreciate your request, but he said, don't you ever say you're not educated no more. You pulled yourself up by your bootstrap. You see my picture on the wall there? I'll give you my degree any day for you. Oh, boy. When I walked that off, I felt 10 foot tall. My goodness, it made me feel much. So anyway, Daly kept me, Belandy kept me, Verna, Jane Byrne used me simultaneously. When the police, she was in the projects, she asked me to be chairman of Chicago Police Brutality Committee. You remember that?
Yeah.
So I just didn't turn it. All of them have simultaneously used me as something else. I always, and when, but the main thing I really love is when Harold Washington. Now that's a man. I'll say this, he and Justice Freeman and I were very good friends.
Oh, okay.
And I think they will both give me a little credit for where they are today. Well, Harold is dead now. I mean, that I want to give credit to Harold. But I think, excuse me, that was wrong. I think if Harold was alive today, I think he would give me a lot of credit. And I said Justice Freeman, I think he'd give me a lot of credit for whatever he is.
Well, you know, I hear kind of rumbles or whatever that Justice Freeman might be going to retire.
Yeah, I talked to him not long ago. He don't like a lot of things that's going on now, and he's a person that likes to help people. And if it looks like he's not going to help people, I'm not talking for him, but I'm telling you my opinion. I think Justice Freeman, as I said before, I think he would say I had a lot to do with whatever he is.
Now he's on the Supreme Court.
Right, he is the top.
He's on
He's
the
the top
Illinois
judge in the county,
Supreme
in the state.
Court.
Right. You can't go no higher than that in the state. Justice Freeman and Harold Washington was very good friends. We all came up the ladder together.
Now
under
they were
Ralph
law
Metcalf.
partners, weren't
Oh,
they?
yeah, yeah.
They were actually law partners when they were young
Yeah.
fellas.
We all came up under Ralph Metcalf. I never forget when Harold Washington wanted to move into a building. He wanted to run for state rep. And they said he didn't live there. Well, I supplied a letter to the judge that my medley movers had moved him there 3 days before. And naturally, how you going to say you don't live there when a licensed mover, medley movers say he lived there? So, I mean, just, no, Harold and I, we were very good friends. And Harold insisted that I be on his cabinet, so I helped him quite a bit. I was successful in good. Anyway, a lot of people getting in there to get that 25th vote, so we could get something done in the city council.
Yeah, that's right. We did have to elect some more people
Right.
to get up to the 25th.
We couldn't do nothing when we got in there. I never forget. Oh, I got to tell this one here. The night Harold won, the little said Howard Safford and Renaud Robinson was in the room with him. There's three of them. And he laid back on the little bed, put his hand behind him. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, I don't know a damn thing about streets and sand. He said, the man said he going to quit tonight if I win. A lot of people say going to quit, And he said, I don't know what to do. So we found him some people, and he did the job. But I never forget, and this one time that Harold and I had a disagreement, and it was so real quick. I put a bid in for the taxiway bridge, O'Hara.
Yeah.
Taxiway bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And my bid was lower than anyone else's. And he came to me and he said, Medley, they was looking at your bid, your friend now. I don't want to see you get burned. He said, you haven't done this before and you left $8 million on the table. He said, and I said 22 and the other way was 28 million. He said, so I don't want you to get hurt, so I'm not going to let them give it to you. Oh, boy. I say, I'm surprised that you wouldn't insult me in the way. What? I said, I'm sorry. As long as we've been friends, you wouldn't insult me like this. I said, I'm really surprised. Wait a minute. I said, remember the day when you got elected and you said that you didn't know nothing about we got someone. I wouldn't make you think that I don't have sense enough to realize I don't know a damn thing about this taxiway bridge, but I don't have sense enough to get people. And when I showed him my people I had, boy, he apologized to me. And I must say, and I different pre-bragging and tell I'm trying to make a point. I don't brag. I'm gonna let this saying this to make a point. You haven't heard not one thing about about the taxiway bridge at O'Hara, and Medley was the one. You haven't heard nothing bad about it, and that was almost 30 years ago. So I just say, you have to know have to know your ability. I got people, I never forget, I never heard of a pile driver before in my life. I looked at it, and I got this guy from Philadelphia, I don't want to call him these people's names. And I got him, I didn't never, when I got through with this list, and he looked at the people I had, the qualifications, he went back and told the people, said, no, get Medley this job. So I'm the one that had the second taxiway bridge that O'Hara, it was Medley. And then I did such a good job that they let me have the old bridge. I had to repair it.
So you won it fair and square.
Right.
In terms of being the low bidder.
Right.
Caller, are you there?
In terms of being the low bidder. Caller, are you there?
Yes, good evening.
Okay, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Just today I almost went to sleep, so I've been holding for a while. But I was listening to the guest, and he has some of the most interesting and inspiring stories from way back when. It kind of reminds me of my dad. My dad had a moving truck way back in about the 60s, and he taught us how to do that kind of work. And me and my uncle, and you started the car wash and, sold food off the back of the truck and did all kinds of things. And I guess kind of reminds me of my dad a little bit. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, Mr. Medley probably is no more than about, how old you think he might be?
Oh, come on. Are you kidding?
So
I am up there now.
About 2 years ago, and he was 72. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's probably past that 72
Oh, yeah.
a little bit.
That was a long time ago when I was 72.
But you talked about...
72 when he passed away, though,
Huh?
10 years ago. So, my dad would have been about 82, 83 now.
Yeah, well, those, they don't make them the way they were making men then.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I think
said.
that generation of people laid the foundation for a lot of the things that are going on now. And I think my mother would say we need to go back to that old landmark in many ways. In terms of just doing, I remember when Dr. Johnson
Oh, yeah.
had a bid that he had won with his insurance.
Right.
And I remember that John Stroger, I think, talked him
Yeah.
out of not taking it because he was close to John. And John didn't want people to think that he had greased the skids in any way.
John and Johnson, they played football in high school together. They played. I was baseball, softball, I mean. But they played football together in high school in Elton, Arkansas. That's where I was raised up at.
You two?
Oh yeah, we all played there. Yes, sir. John and I went to grammar school together and all of us came up together.
Well, John used to talk about being kind of low income and stuff like that. I used to say, now, here he was going to Catholic school in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I'd say, John, how low income
Oh my
could
God.
you really been?
No, John's mother put him through school. She did labor work, cotton pitching, and cotton picking, and cotton shopping, and everything. Yeah, that was the hardest working lady. Everybody knew Miss Stroger. She worked hard. She's bent way over. She still worked hard. Yeah, I know the whole family, his sister, and all of them. As I said, we all
And his
grew up
sister,
together.
I believe, was the mayor.
Yeah.
Became the
Right,
mayor
yeah,
of Helena. And Helena is not a big time.
I think she was a vice mayor. I think something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Anyway, she was way up there. A lot of she had a lot of pull down there in Helena. It's so
Oh,
big.
without a doubt. I
I went-
remember one time they had they honored her and that kind
Oh
of thing.
yeah.
Caller, are you there?
Yes, Congressman, it's a great day to be on God's green earth. Well, Mr. Melody, I just want to ask you, didn't Daddy O'Daly, didn't he used to sponsor you, always talking about Melody?
I was on the show. Yeah.
Yes, and what happened to Dickie and all of them, Phil and all of them?
You mean Jacoby Dickens was his partner, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But Jacoby Dickens and I took over the Seaway Bank. In
Right.
fact, I let Jacoby have stock to get on the board, but we all what you let?
Jacoby.
No, Jacoby was my guy though. He was really a guy.
Right.
But
It used to be a great time up there on 71st, up
Yeah.
at the park when Daddy O'Daly
Right.
was sponsoring the league. But I remember all y'all guys. I was a little younger, but I used to sell a pop when Daddy O'Daly, and remember he got the lights up there on the park, and it was a tavern league. But those were some of the
You
greatest
said it was the
days.
Tavern League.
Yeah, it was a tavern league.
well, Stu Collins and while they all was the founders of Seaway Bank.
Right.
Dr.
Let me get
Buckner.
out there so I can hear your response, and thanks for taking the call.
Okay.
All right. Dr. Buck, the
Yeah,
dentist.
Dr. Buckner and Stu Collins. Then he came on, and he was one of the major stockholders. And they asked me to come on the board, and I was tickled pink. So I got on board and worked with them there. We all worked together there.
You know, it's a shame that those institutions that were developed during that era, we don't have them anymore. I mean,
No, I think some taking blame. We put the blame in a lot of different areas. But I think some of the blame is we want to get, everybody wants to be on top. You have to start at the bottom sometime to get on top.
and so the Collins, these gentlemen owned barbecue.
Oh, yeah, all the
places,
Collins
right?
brothers.
That's where they kind of started.
My little bitty office on 71st Street, one little room, and Harvey Collins was across the street. He and I were very good friends. And his brother, Ernest Collins, had the food basket store. What do you call it? I forget the name of the store now. Anyway, on 49th and St. Lawrence. But we all came up the ladder together, the Collins and all of us.
And they all went into business.
Yeah, we all went into
And
business.
you know about the only, I don't know any African Americans in the grocery business other than maybe
He started
one or
it.
two.
He started. He had several stores. And I learned a lot from Stu Collins. I learned a lot.
Well, you see, a lot of the money that changes hands in our community comes through the retail outlets and services. And somehow or another, we're not controlling much of that. Hardly any of it. I only know one or two people who actually have those kind of businesses.
You know, I tell you, I have to say some of the blame is because of you got the people just, how you gonna run a business when so many people is taking on dishonest stealing and going. I never forget Stu Collins. Just people, he look glad go up there and look, and people doing this and putting in their pockets and. I don't know. It's just it's bad now. It's bad. It's a different time now.
It's very, as a matter of fact, sometimes I almost wish I had a business, although my life has been in a different direction. You can't
In the political era now, you can't be.
You can't do.
You're doing
all
good at
kind
your
of
business. You
things.
can't be all. You're
but-
doing very good.
But when I see the businesses in the neighborhood, and none of them belong
That's bad.
to African
I hate
Americans.
to see it. I hate to see
You know, it's kind of hurtful and harmful because you know that whatever is being collected is going to end up in the hands of somebody else.
Right.
And so how can you rebuild if everything is going out and nothing is staying?
You know, I tell you, what I would like to see is, for instance, I said Hispanics, for instance. In their neighborhood, they have a Hispanic store. They have police, Hispanics. I don't know how they get things done better than we do. I think they stick together better than we do.
Well, maybe it's a spirit of nationalism. I'm saying black culture. You know, there was a time when, you know, red, black, and green.
Right.
Here's to the black of it.
Right.
Here's to the red.
Right.
I'm saying
I don't know.
I'm not sure that our children are being taught.
Right.
I mean,
something wrong
the
here.
black heroes and sheroes. I mean, we used to learn the poems that black writers had written, you know.
Yeah.
Hold fast to your dreams, for if dreams die, life becomes as a broken-winged bird. Langston Hughes, Paul Laurence Dunbar, all of these people, and I don't hear as much conversation about them. And so black kids, I think, come through missing some of that. And if you miss it, I better make this announcement because we do have a town hall meeting on transportation that's going to be Monday, November the 20th at the Westinghouse College Prep School, 3223 West Franklin Boulevard. We're going to have Metra there. We're going to have the CTA. We're going to have I. C. US. And all the other dots. So come on out and let's talk about transportation, especially Lake Street and down that corridor. Caller, go right ahead. Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah. Good evening again. I was just kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying about the heroes and sheroes, and it seems like, I guess nowadays you got so much Hollywood that's romancing the youth and everybody else with a lot of Hollywoods, and so, you know what I mean? Even the good characters that now have to play bad roles, you know, so along with the music, the culture just got diluted, you know? Our
Yep.
culture.
We got to do something to get it back, though. I mean,
Well,
we
you know-
can't keep going along. You know,
Well, I would think sometimes if you get some of these big name actors that come out and I guess show up and not just show out, but you know, sponsor something. You know, I hear Denzel is coming back and kind of helping to sponsor.
I understand he was in town not long ago in the
Well,
neighborhood.
I've been asking them to try to come out and do the boys clubs on the.
And I think he say he was looking for some Leon's ribs. I mean, that he was.
It's gonna come New Year, Thanksgiving Eve.
Yeah, well, I hope that he does and that people will remain loyal to the communities where they grew up and all of those kind of things. And, you know, as long as we live and learn. Let me also mention we've got a press conference coming up on Sunday at Mac's Restaurant out in the 5400 block on West Madison Street at 10 o'clock. And we're going to dissect the tax bill that President Trump and his friends have introduced, that there are many parts of it that I disagree with. And so we're going to have a number of people at the press conference Sunday morning talking about it and what we disagree with, and maybe some things we might even agree with. Our time is running down, and I tell you, it's just been a pleasure.
Well, let me finish. Let me say the thing what I'm on here. One of the things I'm on here about, Congressman.
All right, please.
Is as you know, people pick you and allege that you did things, and they convict you so you can't get on board. You know, otherwise, let me thank Congressman Davis real quick here. Congressman Davis, Tony Preckwinkle, there's quite a few people, I don't call all the names, have did. Now, first place, I was whatever you want to call it, one of the people, I say, behind Harold Washington. And the adversaries really went at us every way you can think they went at us. You'd be surprised the thing they tried to do to us. And Harold Washington, I was on the board. He reappointed me to the board of CTA. And he said, Medley, I did what best I could. And Congressman Davis said, I did quite a bit there. I could name, I put people where they're supposed to be. And we had a thing that you had to be a certain percentage of blacks. And I can tell you one thing, I went down and saw the blacks, and saw the railroad track, the CTA, right. And I didn't see any blacks, and I pulled in there, I had my car.
All right, we are getting our signal to wrap up, and so we're going to have to go, but let me thank you.
Okay.
We'll come back, because we come in every Friday. I want you to take this with you and put it someplace prominent. It says the Congressman Danny K. Davis 2017 Outstanding Leadership Award presented to Commissioner Howard Medley, Outstanding Leadership in the Development of Black Men. Thank you all so much. Thank all of our listeners and our viewers
when
and
I come
our
back, I'm going to
callers.
Talk about
and
problem I have.
We'll come back and talk about that, and we'll see you next week.